People say you can hear your life fall apart. They're right. For me, it was the sound of two wine glasses clinking behind a closed office door. Not loud, just a soft, delicate clink. But it was enough. I'd left work early, roses in hand, one of those surprise your wife on a random Wednesday type deals. Thought I was being romantic. Turns out, I was just on time for the matinee performance of My Life's a Lie, starring me as the idiot husband. Our home office was dim, the door slightly ajar. Her laugh floated out, light and breathy. Then the clink. Then a voice, his voice, low and confident, saying something I'll never forget. "Your husband still thinks you're working late, huh?" I didn't barge in. I didn't shout. I just walked away, quietly, like a man deciding not to punch a wall because he knows drywall's expensive and therapy's cheaper. 3 weeks later, I still hadn't told her I knew. Not because I was afraid. Because I wanted her to say it first. I gave her time. And she spent it perfecting the lie, brushing her teeth with guilt and kissing me with the same mouth that whispered secrets to someone else. You ever stare at someone you loved and wonder if they're even real? That's what I did, every morning across the kitchen table, watching her sip coffee like nothing had changed, like I hadn't already buried the version of her I married. I didn't plan revenge. Not yet. I planned truth. And the truth was, I wasn't looking to destroy her. Not at first. Just to remind her who she betrayed. The first time I asked her directly, it was a Saturday morning. She was folding laundry, his shirt, no less. A crisp white button-down that didn't belong to me. I stared at it for a second too long. "Where's that from?" I asked. She didn't miss a beat. "You bought it." I raised an eyebrow. "Did I?" She nodded, cool as a cucumber in a snowstorm. "Last Christmas." "You don't remember anything." She was right. I didn't remember buying it. Because I didn't. But I didn't argue. Just gave a tight-lipped smile and watched her fold it neatly, like she was tucking away the evidence of her double life. You learn a lot about a person by how well they lie. Her lies weren't sloppy. They were elegant, polished, practiced. The kind that slip into the room wearing heels and perfume. I started noticing the little things. She began locking her phone, even when she was just walking to the bathroom. She took her calls in the car with the engine running, and her texts, always with that slight, satisfied smirk. Like the sender had just made her blush in a language only they shared. "You're quiet lately," she said one night over dinner. "Just tired," I replied. She smiled and sipped her wine. "Work stress." Something like that. She looked at me the way you look at a pet who's too dumb to notice you're packing its favorite toy to drop it off at a new home. With pity. And just a hint of guilt. It almost made me laugh. Almost. I wasn't dumb. I was just waiting. Waiting for the moment the mask slipped. Waiting for her to finally say it. But she didn't. So I made my move. There's a kind of silence that feels heavier than sound. That's the one I invited into our house. I stopped asking questions. Stopped guessing. Started preparing. I wasn't looking for closure. I was building a case. She wasn't going to leave me in the rubble. Not without stepping on something sharp on her way out. First, I bought a small recorder. Nothing fancy. Fit right into the drawer next to her favorite lipstick. Left it there one afternoon before I headed to the store. An hour later, she called someone. "Yeah, he's out," she said, voice light. "We've got about an hour." An hour for what? I already knew. But it wasn't about knowing. It was about having the proof. Next came the private investigator. A guy named Nolan with a bald head and a camera that could see through excuses. He wasn't cheap. But neither was betrayal, and I figured one of us might as well get their money's worth out of this mess. Within days, I had photos. Hotel lobbies. Coffee shops. A familiar red SUV in front of an unfamiliar house. Her hand in someone else's. A smile she hadn't shown me in months. She wasn't even hiding it well. Like the thrill of deception was more important than the success of the lie. Like getting caught was half the fun. "You seeing someone?" I asked her one evening as she scrolled on her phone. She looked up, blinked twice, and smiled. "Why would you say that?" "No reason," I said, staring at the pasta she barely touched. Just felt like asking. She kissed my cheek that night, soft and guilty, like she was thanking me for not being smarter. But I was smart. And I was ready. There's a unique kind of cruelty in watching someone lie to your face when you already know the truth. It's like watching an actor flub a scene they've rehearsed 1,000 times, except this time, the audience is armed with a script. I sat on the couch, lights low, drink in hand. Bourbon. The good kind. She walked in wearing that burgundy dress she always claimed she wore just for me. It used to work. Now it felt like a uniform she wore for someone else. Going out. I asked casually. She paused at the mirror near the hallway, adjusting her earrings. Just dinner with the girls. That lie again. She turned, met my eyes. You okay? Peachy, I said. Say hi to the girls. She smiled. Don't wait up. I didn't. I waited down, in the basement, where Nolan had installed the cameras. I watched her pull out of the driveway. I watched the red SUV slide down the street and out of frame. 15 minutes later, I was watching her on my phone. She wasn't with the girls. He was wearing a gray button-up, smug grin and all, holding her chair like a gentleman from a soap commercial. Nolan had put a GPS in her car 2 days prior, and it paid off beautifully. I sipped my bourbon, watching the live stream from Nolan's feed outside the restaurant. Their hands touched across the table. Her laugh echoed faintly through the speaker. Soft. Familiar. Like she used to laugh with me before she started laughing at me. This wasn't an affair. This was a new relationship. I was just the placeholder she hadn't cleared off the shelf yet. I could have stormed in. Could have made a scene, flipped the table, ruined their date like they'd ruined my life. But no. This wasn't a demolition. It was an auction, and I was preparing the final bid. The next morning, I made waffles. Her favorite, blueberry with lemon zest. She came down the stairs like a woman with nothing to hide. You're chipper, she said. I handed her a plate. Just felt like spoiling you. She raised an eyebrow. What's the occasion? Let's call it appreciation. She bit into a waffle, eyes narrowing. You're acting weird. Maybe I'm just seeing things more clearly, I said. Like how beautiful you still are. Her smile was thin, suspicious. What's gotten into you? Gratitude, I said. For everything you've given me. The memories. The laughter. The what now? I leaned forward. Even the lesson. She set the fork down. What lesson? That people don't always turn out to be who you thought they were. Her smile dropped, just for a second. Then it snapped back into place, strained and tight. You're not making sense. Oh, but I am, I said. For the first time in a long while. She didn't eat another bite. She sat there, poised and nervous, like someone waiting for a test result. She knew I knew something, but she didn't know how much. And that made her dangerous. Later that night, I found her phone left unlocked on the kitchen counter. It was too perfect. Like bait. She wanted to see if I'd snoop. So I did. And I let her catch me doing it. She walked in, eyes wide. What the hell, Logan? I could ask you the same, I said calmly. But I already know the answer. You had no right. Didn't need one, I said. You lost the benefit of doubt the second you started scheduling date nights with your sidekick. She froze. So you know? I nodded. I know everything. There it was. The end of the charade. Her face dropped all its charm like a mask falling off a mannequin. Fine, she said, voice low. I won't lie anymore. Must be exhausting. She ignored that. So what now? Divorce? You gonna drag my name through the mud? No, I said. That would be too easy. And way too temporary. Then what? She snapped. I smiled. Now I take everything that matters to you. Piece by piece. Brick by brick. You don't get to just walk away, Ashley. You built this mess. I'm just rearranging the debris. She didn't respond. Her silence was louder than anything she could have said. You think you're the victim here? She finally asked. No, I said. You're the thief. And I'm just collecting what's owed. I walked out of the room. And just like that, the real war began. There's something satisfying about strategy. Not revenge. No, that's messy, impulsive. Strategy is clean. Precise. Like a scalpel in the hands of someone who used to be a surgeon before he was turned into a fool. And I wasn't a fool anymore. The next morning, I changed the locks. She still had her key, of course, but it didn't work anymore. When she got home from wherever she was, his place, probably, she stood on the porch staring at the door like it had personally betrayed her. I opened it before she could knock. Logan, what the hell? Security update, I said coolly. Too many unknowns coming and going lately. She blinked. Are you serious? As a funeral, I said, then stepped aside. You can come in. This time. She brushed past me with that brittle confidence she always wore when she didn't have a leg to stand on. Her heels clicked against the hardwood like a metronome for delusion. You're being petty, she said. No, I replied. I'm being exact. That night, I forwarded a copy of the hotel receipts, text screenshots, and a time-stamped video from Nolan to my lawyer. Then I sent them to her lawyer, the one she hadn't told me she'd already contacted, but whose name I found in our shared laptop's browser history. I included a message, since we're being honest now. 2 days later, She served me with divorce papers. Irreconcilable differences. Cute. But the joke was on her. Because the house, mine before we married, the savings account, joint in name only. I'd transferred half into a protected trust when Nolan first confirmed the affair. And the business? Untouchable. I built it from scratch with zero input from her. She didn't know it yet, but her slice of the pie had already crumbled, and I hadn't even started cutting. She came into the kitchen while I was eating a sandwich. Turkey, extra mustard, the kind she used to hate. I want to talk, she said. I didn't look up. We're doing that now. I mean really talk, Logan. Civilly. Like adults. I set my sandwich down, wiped my fingers with a napkin, and leaned back. All right. Talk. She hesitated. You're angry. I get that. But this doesn't have to be ugly. It already is ugly, Ashley. You just don't like being on the receiving end of it. I didn't plan for it to happen this way. Good, I said. Because if you'd planned it, I'd have to give you credit. But right now, it just looks like you're bad at cheating in math. She frowned. What does that mean? It means you bet everything on the wrong horse. And I've already closed the track. You think I'm after your money? I think, I said slowly, that you got bored of the man you married and wanted someone with newer stories, fewer responsibilities, and the kind of reckless optimism that only comes with a complete lack of real-world experience. You mean Zach? Zach, I echoed. The man who still refers to himself in third person and wears sunglasses indoors. She crossed her arms. At least he listens to me. I raised an eyebrow. So did I? But you mistook patience for weakness. She turned to leave, but not before muttering. You're such a cold man, Logan. I stood up, took a step toward her, voice low and even. No, Ashley. I became cold. You put out the fire. I just learned how to live without the warmth. Later that week, Nolan delivered the last piece of the puzzle. A copy of the paternity test. Because, surprise, Ashley's new little secret? Yeah, she was pregnant. She hadn't told me. Probably wasn't going to. Maybe she wasn't even sure who the father was. But now I knew. And it wasn't me. Nolan handed me the envelope like it was radioactive. You want to open it now? I did. I unfolded the paper, saw the 0% match, and exhaled. Not out of relief. Not even grief. Just finality. The way a man exhales when he finishes reading a chapter he didn't want to start. That night, I left the envelope on her pillow. She found it before bed. I heard her crying in the bathroom for the first time in years. But I didn't go to her. Not anymore. The next morning, I served her my own papers. Counterfiling. Full divorce. No alimony. And a very generous offer. Leave quietly, no further damage, and I'd let her keep the car. She stared at the paperwork, hands trembling. This is punishment, she said. No, I said. It's an invoice. For what? For making me stop loving you. There's a strange calm that settles in when the worst has already happened. Like after a storm, when the power's still out and everything smells like rain and ozone. It's quiet, but it's not peace. It's the silence of something waiting to burn. Ashley moved into the guest room that week. Not because I told her to, but because she couldn't stand sleeping beside someone who'd stopped pretending. We didn't fight anymore. We didn't talk much either. She hovered around the house like a ghost with a Wi-Fi connection, floating from room to room, always texting, always whispering on the phone. She looked at me the way people look at a wall that used to hold a painting. Like something had been there, but it was gone now, and all that was left was a hole. I stopped trying to read her. The only reading I was doing now came from legal documents, asset spreadsheets, and the occasional classified ad for properties far, far away. One night, I caught her crying again. She didn't know I was on the back deck. She sat on the couch, hunched over, reading a message on her phone over and over like it might change if she stared long enough. I didn't ask. I didn't care. Not anymore. But the thing about betrayal? It doesn't rot quietly. And Ashley was unraveling. It started with little things. Misplaced car keys. Unwashed dishes piling up. She forgot to feed the dog, twice. She never forgot that before. He started sleeping at the foot of my bed, like even he could sense where the gravity had shifted. Then came the mood swings. One morning, she made breakfast for both of us. Eggs, bacon, coffee, the works. I walked into the kitchen, took one look, and said nothing. Not out of spite. I just didn't know what to say to a woman I no longer recognized. She stared at me for a full minute before dumping her plate in the trash. You could have at least said thank you, she muttered. I didn't ask for it. Her jaw clenched. So now you're punishing me with silence? No, I said. I'm giving you the courtesy you didn't give me. You're unbelievable. Funny. That's exactly what I thought when I found out about Zach. She slammed the fridge door and stormed out. I didn't follow. Nolan called that afternoon. You sitting down? He asked. Why, did you dig up Jimmy Hoffa? Close. Zach's got a record. That got my attention. Go on. 2 restraining orders. One from an ex in Portland, another in Phoenix. Nothing ever stuck, but both cases involved stalking, intimidation, one even mentioned threats. Well, I said, he does seem like the type who can't take no for an answer. There's more. His job? That boutique consulting gig? Total sham. Fake website, no clients, no licenses. Guy's a grifter. Bounces from woman to woman, cleans them out, then disappears. My grip tightened on the phone. Send me everything, I said. Already in your inbox. You thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, I said. Ashley didn't just trade down. She stepped into a burning house with gasoline boots. That night, I printed the files. I left them on the kitchen table in a neat little folder labeled Zach Donovan, the real man of the year. She found it before bed. I heard the gasp, the clatter of papers, the slamming of the bathroom door. This time, I waited. 10 minutes later, she appeared in my doorway, eyes wild, folder in hand. What the hell is this? Truth, I said, not looking up from my book. You hired someone to stalk him? No, I said. I hired someone to protect what's left of my sanity. You're unbelievable. You said that this morning. She threw the folder on the bed. This doesn't prove anything, doesn't it? It's all circumstantial, like your loyalty. That landed. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, softly, why are you doing this? Because, Ashley, you made your choice. I'm just showing you the invoice. She stopped going out after that. The text slowed down. The late-night calls stopped. Her phone, once glued to her palm like an extra limb, sat untouched on the counter most nights. She barely spoke. She barely smiled. And me? I slept better than I had in years. Because I wasn't finished yet. You see, the difference between anger and justice is timing. And I was just getting started. The calm before a storm isn't quiet, it's tense. Like the sky is holding its breath, daring you to flinch first. That's what our house felt like now. Not peaceful. Just still. Still in a way that meant something was coming. Ashley had stopped pretending. Gone were the polished smiles and fake apologies. She walked around the house like someone waiting for their prison transfer, too proud to ask for mercy, too broken to plot an escape. Me? I kept my schedule airtight. Work, gym, home. No surprises. No curveballs. Everything in my life now had a sharp edge and a straight line. I didn't yell. I didn't rant. My silence had become louder than any screaming match she could have started. It was wearing on her. One afternoon, I came home to find her in the living room, sitting on the floor surrounded by torn photo albums. Wedding pictures, vacations, holidays, all of it, scattered like leaves after a windstorm. She looked up at me, mascara smudged. Did any of it mean anything to you? She asked. I paused, taking in the mess. Of course it did. That's why it hurts. She blinked. Then why do you look at me like I'm nothing now? Because you chose nothing over honesty. She didn't argue. She just sat there, clinging to a piece of our wedding photo, like it could change the ending if she held it long enough. I walked past her. There was nothing left to say that hadn't already been destroyed. That evening, Nolan sent me a final report. Zach was unraveling. Apparently, Ashley had finally told him it was over. No more late-night rendezvous. No more secret hand-holding in dim hotel lobbies. And Zach didn't take it well. He started showing up at her gym, her hair salon, even once outside our neighborhood grocery store. He wasn't yelling. Not yet. Just staring. Lingering. Ashley didn't tell me. But Nolan did. The irony hit hard. The same man she betrayed me for was now haunting her like a ghost she'd invited into our lives. I made a note to install security cameras, front and back. I told Nolan to keep his phone on. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next time I brought it up, I didn't do it out of concern. I did it out of curiosity. You should file a restraining order, I said over breakfast. She looked up, startled. What? For Zach, I clarified. He's escalating. She dropped her spoon into her cereal. How do you know? I know things, I said, sipping my coffee. You should know that by now. She didn't answer. I stood. Or don't file one. Honestly, I'm enjoying watching you learn what consequences feel like. Her eyes flared. You're cruel. No, I replied. I'm just no longer your shield. Days passed. She became reclusive, barely left the house. I started noticing the blinds in the living room always drawn, the extra locks double-checked at night, her phone set face down on every surface. One evening, I walked into the kitchen and found her clutching a steak knife, not cutting anything, just holding it, like it was the last boundary between her and the chaos she'd created. You scared? I asked. She flinched, then nodded. I leaned against the counter. What's it like? What? To finally live in the wreckage you built. Tears welled up in her eyes. I made a mistake, Logan. No, I said coldly. You made a choice. Don't cheapen it with regret. She looked down. For once, she didn't have a comeback. The next day, Nolan called. Thought you'd want to know Zach's car was seen in your neighborhood again. Parked across the street. Didn't get out. Just watched the house for 30 minutes. Hit the plates. Already passed them to a friend in the department. I nodded. Thanks. Keep me posted. I hung up and walked straight to the garage. Inside a locked drawer was a small black case. Legal. Licensed. Loaded. I wasn't a violent man, but I was a prepared one. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, eyes on the ceiling, listening. For what? I couldn't say, but I heard it. Just after 2 a.m., a faint thud, then the unmistakable creak of a front porch step. My fingers brushed the drawer next to the bed. And then, silence. Ashley stirred beside me. Yes, she'd crept back into the marital bed lately, like proximity could erase guilt. What's wrong? She mumbled. Stay here, I whispered. She sat up. Is it him? I didn't answer. I moved like muscle memory, feet on the floor, breath steady, instincts sharp. I passed through the hallway, every step deliberate. When I reached the front door, I flipped the porch light on and pulled back the curtain. Empty. Just wind. But I knew better. He was out there. And I wasn't the one shaking anymore. The next morning, I reviewed the porch camera footage. There he was. Zach. Put up, standing in the shadows just off the porch. He didn't knock. Didn't move much. Just stood there, watching. A ghost of bad decisions. Ashley didn't need to see the footage. She knew. She wore her fear now like perfume, unavoidable and a little desperate. She jumped at noises, slept with the lamp on, and started asking me things like, are we safe? And what if he comes back? As if we were still we. I gave her the only honest answer I had. He already came. You let him in. She didn't ask again. That weekend, I had Nolan file the papers for the restraining order himself. It was granted on Monday. Zach got served Tuesday afternoon. That night, our mailbox was smashed in with a crowbar. Coincidence? Maybe. But I slept with my Glock on the nightstand just in case. The divorce finalized in record time. My lawyer, bless her steel-plated soul, had dismantled Ashley's claims with the precision of a neurosurgeon. Ashley kept her car, her clothes, a few pieces of furniture, and the bitter taste of losing everything else. I kept the house, the business, my dignity, and a peace that felt earned, not gifted. She moved out on a Thursday. Didn't say goodbye. Just left a single note on the kitchen table. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I folded it in half and dropped it in the trash without reading it again. The house was quiet now. Not tense. Not still. Just quiet. And I liked it that way. I got new locks, changed the landscaping, even painted the office where I'd first heard the wine glasses clink. The room didn't deserve to remember her. Neither did I. It happened 6 weeks later. Late one night, I got a call from Nolan. You want to sit down, he said. That's how all this started, I thought. That same phrase. Zach's in the hospital. Assault. He's in bad shape. I didn't respond. They're looking for the guy who did it. No ID, no witnesses. Just a broken man on the sidewalk and a pair of size 12 boot prints in the mud. I wear size 11s. And I've never been one to leave a mess. Nolan's voice was low. You didn't do this, right? No, I said. And I hadn't. But I knew someone who might have. The next morning, Ashley was at my door. Eyes red. Jacket half-zipped. A bruise on her wrist she didn't even bother hiding. Can I come in? She asked, voice shaking. I let her. She sat at the edge of the couch like it might dissolve beneath her. He found me, she said. He broke into my apartment. I nodded once. And I fought back, she whispered. I don't remember all of it. But when I came to, he was on the floor. She looked up. I didn't know who else to call. I studied her. This woman I once loved. The one who betrayed me, feared me, used me, and now she was nothing but a survivor of her own fire. I can't protect you anymore, I said. I know. I won't lie for you. I don't want you to. Silence hung between us like smoke. Will you be okay? I finally asked. She hesitated, then nodded. Eventually, she stood, walked to the door, paused. Logan, was any of it real? I thought for a long moment, then said, the part where I loved you was. The rest? I opened the door. Just embers. She stepped outside and didn't look back. The door clicked shut behind her, and with it, the last chapter closed.